morning and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show today, Tuesday, 15th November 2022. Happy mid-month. I am your host, Zipporah Mshala, joined by my co-host, my beautiful co-host, Miriam Kayemba. Good morning, Miriam.
Good morning, Zippo. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine. You know, I feel very nice today. I'm happy. You know why?
Why?
Because you just did the introduction, like my beautiful co-host.
Co-host. Yeah, I just said my co-host and I was like, okay, no, she likes beautiful co-host.
Exactly, Zippo. You need to emphasize the point. But anyway, how's your morning so far?
No, I think so, right? So far, today I just woke up to a post where someone wrote 46 days to go before 2022 ends. What have you achieved?
Well,
so, Miriam, what have you achieved?
Well,
46 days remaining.
So much. You know, first of all, we thank God for this gift of life that He has given us today. And Zipporah, you know, we keep on achieving each and everything every day as we go on, and we keep on trying to be better each single day. So, yeah, as we get to 2023, anyway, we look forward to so much things, basically as a country, as a person, and yeah.
I don't know if I'm the only one, but I feel like these years are 6 months. When you're gone, you feel like the year is 6 months. When you're young, it feels like it's a year.
Because you know
but
what,
now,
you spend almost all your time working, Zipporah.
I feel like it's 6 months. I'm like, because I'm like, okay, I feel like we're somewhere in April right now. And already we're
basically you're not alone. Everyone feels that as well. You're like, okay, I think we have been cheated with days, you know? That's how it feels like already it's almost ending. But anyway, it's beautiful, and we look forward to 2023. You know, it's we hope to see.
Last time someone was like, are you going to cover the budget? I'm like, which budget? 2023? What do you mean 2023? I'm like, already. Anyway, that's how life is, so we need to make the most out of it.
Exactly, Zipporah. So every day on our show, when we come this morning, just to emphasize on exercising. Anyway, before we do our morning boost this morning on this show, Zipporah, did you exercise? Because I always emphasize.
I walked a bit, so I think walking is considered exercise. But yeah, Miriam, we have some interesting topics. We have an interesting topic for our guests out there, so you can call us on the numbers that will be scrolling on your screens or leave us a message on Facebook. We are going to be talking about whether Zambia is on the right path of attaining equal rights for persons with disabilities, because this is one group of people which is mostly neglected. When you just look at everyday normal activities like birthdays, Miriam, are they tailored to cater for the needs of persons with disabilities?
And you know, one interesting thing, Zipporah, yesterday I was covering an event at the judiciary where they were talking about child justice. So the acting Chief Justice, Michael Msonda, yesterday said the judiciary now is being sued by a person with disability. You know why? Because the institution has not been, you know, made friendly, user-friendly to persons with disability. So imagine you need to go in court and then there are stairs. How are you going to move? Okay? Yes, so that person has sued the judiciary. And he was saying, what defense are we going to give? Because he's right. Yeah,
so
quite
you know,
interesting.
people take it for granted, but it's until you see the struggles that these people go through, then you're going to appreciate.
Yes.
And we have to put ourselves in their shoes.
In their shoes.
Our life, is the infrastructure around friendly? Is it able to cater for everyone?
Yeah, interesting.
So yeah, we're going to be joined by Mr. Thomas Mutonga, who's a lecturer at the University of Zambia for Special Education. So he's just going to help us discuss today's topic.
Interesting. I look forward to that as well. Yeah.
You know, just now it's time for a little stretch, and my colleague Miriam and I are going to be following here in the background. So let's have the morning boost.
Hi ladies and gentlemen, I'm Chol. We're from Cho's Fitness Gym. We're a fully functional gym located along Twin Palm Road in Kablonga, right by Cheshire Homes Society of Zambia. So we have various classes that happen from Monday to Friday. We have aerobics, we have boot camp, we have step aerobics, we have spinning, we have kettlebell classes. They happen from 18 to 19 hours every day, and we are open from 06 until 20 hours. That's Monday to Friday. Then Saturdays 6 to 12, and then Sundays we are closed. And most public holidays we are open 6 to 12. So you're welcome to visit and come and train with us. And for now, I'll show you certain exercises you could do for. Thank you. Hi ladies and gentlemen, Cholwe again here. I'm going to show you a few exercises you can do to get you fit, to get the blood pumping. So with every set of exercises, you need to start first with stretch, which is very, so we'll do a few stretches, and you place your hands together and touch the floor, and you can hold it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then you can go side to side, you twist. That's 1. We're gonna go for 10, 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5, that's 6, that's 7, that's 8, that's 9, and 10. All right, then you're gonna place your hands like this from the back, hands behind, and then you're gonna stretch that back and hold it for 10 seconds. That's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then you wanna stretch, hands behind and stretch. That's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we can go for 10 here. That's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then behind, that's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then you can stretch your feet. Just hold it for 10 seconds. If balancing is hard, you can always hold somewhere. So you hold it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then the other side, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay. So the first exercise we'll do 1 minute. This one is good. Basic jumping on the and back with the hands. We'll go for 1 minute and make sure your hands touch. So modified version, if you can't jump, you can always go 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to show you the full jump in just a minute. It's 6, 8, 9, Okay, that is 1 minute jacks, approximately 55. So the next one, push-ups. We'll do the modified push-ups. So we'll go for 1 minute of push-ups as well. So with the modified version, you want to place your knees in this position, move to the front. Here we go. All right, and you go down. So the key is for your elbows to point out. That's 2. This is the modified version. Like that. If you can't see from this angle, I'm gonna turn. Like that, modified. If that's too hard, place your feet on the ground and go like that. So you put the push-ups for 1 minute. And now I go into the full push-up. Go down, stretch. Stretch. I like to breathe when I go up. Others, you can go as fast as you can.
I hope you did enjoy that morning exercise that we continue to bring you as Camnet every day on our morning show. I hope you enjoyed. Zipporah, I was trying to do 1 or 2 things out there because I always exercise every day in the morning. And I know you were struggling to pull your legs and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm like, Zipporah, no, you do it like this. Huh? Yeah. But anyway,
I believe that anyway.
Yeah, they have to. But anyway, right about now we go direct into our healthy corner and see what the doctors have for us.
Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Mkandila talking to you. I'm here to present to you another interesting topic that we usually ignore, and that is oral ulcers or oral sores, or the sores that we find in the mouth. But previously on our topic, I explained to you and I emphasized on awareness of expectant mothers, when exactly they're supposed to see the dentist and so on. As I emphasize that even pregnant women can also have access to oral hygiene, which is very important. So for today, I want to talk to you about oral ulcers or mouth sores, as literally that's what patients come and they'll tell you. Usually mouth sores or oral ulcers, they usually happen maybe due to some chemical substance that you've used. For example, if you've used maybe a strong mouthwash, you did not dilute it, usually that chemical can really burn your soft mucosa. They can create some small sores in your mouth. Sometimes it can be due to some irritation, like for example, if you are from eating something, it can be fish, bone or anything, you accidentally bite on it, you can have a sore or an ulcer kind of like. You only get worried if you find that the ulcer that you have in your mouth has taken more than 2 to 3 months and up. It has not healed. Then you get really worried. Because normally if you have a sore in the mouth or you have an ulcer in the mouth, within just weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, it's supposed to disappear actually. So what normally causes that is some chemicals we are using. For example, like I've mentioned, some strong chemicals like some mouthwash, without you diluting it, it will definitely burn your soft tissues there. And for example, when we bite yourself, there are some other people, they bite themselves. You are seated, you're just biting. But you find that you are creating sores inside your mouth or in your soft mucosa there, you're creating sores. So what we normally tell patients is that when we have such cases, we'll definitely treat it for you. But meaning that those other small habits, which one's not supposed to do, supposed to come to an end, like you're supposed to stop. Like for example, when you are just biting, Sometimes you sit and you start biting. Those are some of the things that need to be controlled. But you find that some other ulcers, they can stay for a very long time in the mouth. If it stays for more than months, you need to get worried. You need to seek help out there. It means that it's no longer going to be a sore, it's turning into something bigger. It can turn into a bigger disease. I know with people out there, they still have phobia that I'll go to the dentist, but I'm scared. Or in rural communities, you hear people say, no, I was thrown something, that's why I have this. But us who believe in science, we believe these things are caused by certain object or certain substance or certain chemicals that we took, or accidentally when you're eating, you bite on yourself, you end up having a sore. So how do you treat it? We normally emphasize to our patient that you can use a mouth, if you want, you can use your mouthwash, but you need to reduce that concentration level, meaning that you need to dilute it in a glass of water, because some mouthwash has got a very strong concentration of alcohol in it. So you need to dilute it in water, and then you can rinse it in your mouth. We do also give out prescription of some treatment like some Quadragel. Those are just topical cream that you can apply, and they're friendly in the mouth. They'll not cause any harm. They're actually very friendly. They've got a flavorable taste. It will not bring any harm. Apart from that, if we notice that that ulcer has become more, it's no longer small or anything, we can prescribe some antibiotics. But normally we emphasize to our patient that there are certain things you can avoid to have those ulcers. Usually, if you avoid these things that I've mentioned, if you're using your mouthwash, dilute it. If you are eating or you like biting yourself when you're seated, you're doing nothing, you need to stop those things, because if you do not stop, you'll be making the ulcer or the sore in the mouth to get worse. So in short, what I want to say is that whatever we do in our own time or our oral hygiene, it's important to remember these little things. I know we usually forget, but it's usually important that one remember that if I've got an ulcer, let me go and reach out for help. Let me visit a clinic. I'll be told what to do. Let us not self-medicate, because we find people medicating themselves. They use different kind of chemicals. Others use even soda. Others use even acid from the battery. There are so many chemicals our communities out there or the population out there are using, which is wrong for your gums or for your teeth. You find someone has got ulcers, but they use soda to apply. Nothing happened. Others, they use even Colgate paste, they apply. But instead of the healing process to taking place, nothing is happening. You find that the ulcer is increasing and increasing in size. So I'll emphasize that patients get to be aware of all these things. Let them visit any nearest clinic. Let them be given a proper advice on how to take care of their wound. If you've got sores in the mouth, visit any nearest clinic. You'll be given the correct treatment on how to treat that sore in the mouth. As I conclude, I'll emphasize that everybody out there should know when exactly to visit a dentist, when exactly to treat their teeth, and please, I'm emphasizing that people should not be doing self-treatment. That's why we are here to help you. We don't want people to do self-treatment of using things like batteries, soda, using charcoal. There's so many chemicals people are using out there for self-treatment of teeth. But I'm here to emphasize that we can always change. We can always visit our facilities, and the correct treatment will be given to you. Correct method of your health hygiene will be given unto you. As I conclude, I would say that we can all take care of our sores. If you do not have mouthwash, you can use warm, salty water. It actually helps as well. You can just rinse 2-3 times. Within a week or so, your sore will finish. But if your sore takes long, it means it's something else. It's no longer just any ulcer. It can be a serious disease you're having. I will leave a word of encouragement that as we are celebrating our Oral Health Day, I encourage everyone, whether young, adult, elderly, to visit any nearest facility and get the correct treatment.
Very important that you continue having those healthy tips from the doctors who are coming from the Medical Women Association and have continued to bring us nothing but the best on those healthy tips. Zipporah, your thought on that, because she continued, yesterday we were looking at oral health toward pregnancy, in pregnant women, yeah, and she has continued the topic. Your thought on that?
Yeah, I think she talked about something which we often don't talk about, whereby if you've got mouth ulcers, sores, people don't really know much about them. They'll be like, okay, to heal on its own, they don't really know like how to deal with the issue of, you know, that those ones are really painful, they're irritating.
Yes.
Those small white things sometimes are found under the tongue, they're really painful. But I think it's important that we keep ourselves educated. So thanks to the doctor there. That was very educative there.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and just a reminder that you can actually come and sponsor the health corner, just like our next segment, which is the money market at very affordable rates. Let's just take a look at today's money market. So we have the Great British Pound buying at 19 quarter 20 ngwe, selling at 19 quarter 58 ngwe. The United States dollar buying at 16 quarter 31 ngwe, selling at 16 quarter 63 ngwe. The euro buying at 16 quarter 83 ngwe, selling at 17 quarter 16 ngwe. The South African rand buying at 0 quarter 94 ngwe and selling at 0 quarter 96 ngwe. So there is our money market, especially the US dollar to a quarter there.
Yeah, we have continued seeing that the $1 is buying at 16 quarter 31 ngwe and selling at 16 quarter 63 ngwe Zipporah. Which anyway, we have been told that the kwacha still is the best performing currency in Africa. It has gained momentum and stuff like that.
I even heard someone the other day saying on Facebook, they wrote that should even be grateful. What if it was 16,000? I should be grateful to the PF who knocked off the zeros. Imagine if it was 16, because they even put up this menu saying, is it Shiman and fish 17,000? That old currency. That was
that was
like, look at how we used to buy before. Shiman and fish 17,000.
But it's still more, you know.
It's still the same value.
Still the same value.
It looks stronger.
Stronger, yeah.
But exactly. On paper it looks stronger, or in real life it is stronger.
Whichever way that you would want it to be.
So anyway, that's something that we definitely have to work on. So just now we'll take a look at one of yesterday's stories that made headlines from the community museum. We saw enumerators yesterday protesting. We saw enumerators yesterday protesting the lack of payment. Because they're saying some of them have not yet been paid in full, that census money, and so we had an explanation also from Zambia Statistics Agency. They are saying some of them lost gadgets and all that. But then I don't know if it's just me, but personally, me, and if it was one of those people, I would be upset. Like, so does it mean my work went in vain?
Yeah, and those people, Zipporah, others are claiming anyway, because we don't have the full information. Others are claiming that they, you know, retained those gadgets they were using at that time back to their supervisors. So it is now upon from the agents now to start questioning the supervisors, where did those gadgets go? Yeah, so as long as those gadgets are not there, I don't think they'll be able to get their money. or they'll be cut off.
Around the country.
Yes.
Or that was 15,000, is it?
Or they'll be cut off.
And there's one lady there who was like, it's my money, I need to use it. I'm like, okay.
And you know what? One interesting thing about these people, you know, during the time that the census thing was going on, Zipporah, there was one man who assaulted a female. I think that happened in Kanyama somewhere, one of these compounds. So the matter was taken to court. And then apparently, when trial started, this woman just said, okay, you know what, I've forgiven this man because I do not want him to be prosecuted anymore. Quite interesting. And then the court was like, what is your reason? You know, what is your reason? Has he paid you or something? Because every time that you're trying to withdraw a matter from court, the court needs to understand, are you being threatened? Have you been paid? And stuff like that. So this lady just went on and said, no, I think he's too old. I don't think he should go to jail looking at his age. That is quite considerate. Quite interesting. Quite interesting. But anyway, let's get direct into playing that story that was done by one of our reporters, Prudence Chota.
Not even heavy rains experienced in the morning of Monday, 14th November 2022 could stop these former enumerators and supervisors who took part in the 2022 census of housing and population from registering their displeasure at the Zambia Statistical Agency offices over non-payment of their allowances. Some of these enumerators have traveled miles from different parts of the country and have represented those who could not afford to travel due to various challenges. The enumerators have since complained that they have not received their payments in full despite having completed the work some 2 months ago.
I've been accused of losing the gadgets that we are using by the time you're enumerating in the field, of which we didn't even lose some of our gadgets. We hand over all the gadgets to our supervisors, and then we don't know what happened. If our DIT, they lose the gadgets and then put a blame on us. So we want the DCC, our zone coordinator, and our DIT to help us in this case.
They are saying out of those people who were omitted on the workshop allowance, only 94 people were paid because their names were appearing on the bank statement. Now, how is it possible that your name cannot appear on the bank statement when you got these other allowances? I got the 60% and I got the 40%. How come now on the training allowance, my name is not appearing on the bank statement?
Showed our accounts, whenever they credited, the money is bouncing back. So now, over that issue, we tried to find out from our DCC. We communicated with him. He told us to say, no, the accounts is still working on the issue. I made some efforts to visit our bank, which is FNB, the headquarters. I was told everything is okay with your account. There's nothing which is wrong with your account. I got back to my DCC. I called him, of which, on the issue of calling him, it has not been easy for him to pick up our calls. Whenever we call him, he has not been picking up our calls. But
they have since called on the Zambia Statistical Agency to quickly look into their cases and see how best they can be paid their dues in the shortest possible time, adding that they have accumulated a lot of debt in the process of waiting.
We need money to pay for those people, but we are not having that opportunity. And they are saying youth empowerment. Now, if they talk about youth empowerment, they should be looking on the time which they should give us money. You see? It has been 2 months now. So if they say youth empowerment, me, I've got a lot of credits right now. I don't know if I'll be killed, I don't know. But because of them, so I am appealing, let them just give us our money.
For my case, I've not gotten paid from the 2022 census WASIS program. I haven't got my allowance, I haven't got my 40%, I haven't also got my 60%. Reasons best known from the Zamstat offices. So I'm appealing to the able bosses, please, I need my money, I need to use it.
on the delayment, they're also delaying our programs. What are they thinking of us? They used us as their workers, of which we need to get our payment. This culture, it has continued in Zambia, having such type of problems, whereby the government will come up with a program, people work, but they still have issues with payment.
And Zamstat Interim Statistician General Mulenga Msepa, when contacted for a comment, explained that some enumerators and supervisors affected have issues ranging from not returning back the gadgets to wrong account numbers and short codes, while for others, the agency has observed some dubious transactions which it is trying to investigate.
that has been done. One of the things is that you see, all in all, we've made the payments to all the districts. So it depends case by case basis. Some of them didn't bring back tablets. That's one of the cases. Some of them have been claiming they have not been paid. But when we ask the banks, like the statement, you find that they are not there amongst rejected payments. Like it's about 106. And that requires investigation.
For now, one only hopes that the challenges will be quickly resolved and those who deserve their pay will be paid in the shortest possible time. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Very interesting views out there, you know, Zipporah. Quite interesting. Imagine working for your own money and then at the end of the day, you're not given your money.
And you know, these people went on Facebook. They were busy talking about how they'll spend the money. They're giving a breakdown, saying 15,000.
Others, I'm sure, were even planning in that 15,000, saying, okay, you know, I can pay for a college fee. You know, I can go back to college.
They've been borrowed money because to use it because they knew that they were going to get paid.
Wow.
So they're saying we need to pay back our debt. But really, I don't know who does that. Getting, you know, getting credit before you see the money.
You know, because they were quite sure this is a service that they were offering. And they were quite sure that after offering this service, they were going to get paid, you know. So it's not something that, okay, someone promised them. No, it's a service they offered. And at the end of the day, they needed to get paid for that service. So they knew they were, for me, they were somehow in the right position. Get the money, you will pay back.
At some point they said there, like, why has it been made normal in Zambia whereby you work and it's time for you to get your pay, or is have to find these issues?
The challenges, the bureaucracy of saying no, you can't get the money because of this, because of that, because it's quite stressful. And you know, this just implies one thing, Zipporah. In the coming days, you will now find people, you know, shunning away from such things. They're trying to get involved in such act because they feel, if I get involved, what guarantee do I have that I'll get paid at the end of the day? Because previously, I've seen such people work and not get their monies.
Definitely. Yeah. And these are youth, so they need to be empowered with that money so that they can actually venture.
Yes.
And they did work for it, going around the country, you know, walking around the community.
Yeah, and it
so
was
the challenges
stressful.
they were going through, being chased by dogs, being
beaten, being
abused by non-Zambian nationals who didn't want to be counted and all that.
Imagine if you were being beaten and then at the end of the day being told stories.
So anyway, I hope that is rectified as soon as possible. Miriam, yesterday we also saw another story from Kanyama compound where a 35-year-old man with a mental illness has finally now been admitted at Chanama Hills Hospital. And if you remember earlier, Miriam, there was a concern from the mother saying we went there in 2009, we were just given medicine and discharged.
Yeah.
So yesterday when they were trying to admit her, because we asked them to find the old records, because normally they find the records, because they said we're going to open a temporary file, then we're going to trace it. And then I said, as a journalist who's brought this person here, because they were with the mother, the patient, and the people from the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities. Well, like, as the people who brought this woman here with her son, we want to make sure that everything is okay before we leave.
Yeah.
So, for example, you have to make sure, like, is her file even there? Because she couldn't even remember the numbers. She was saying it was 2009. But then
quite a long time.
Yeah, so we had them search just there and then.
And did they find it?
They searched, they're like, no, but all the files from 2009 is not here. And so it happened that the woman at Chainama that got a clinic. So it happened that the woman had gone to the clinic, you know, due to lack of knowledge. She had gone to the clinic. So it was more like an outpatient department for people with mental disabilities. So they didn't really know how serious it was. It was given medicine, there you go, you get given medicine, you go home. That's how it happened.
But Zipporah, that gives me, you know, it leaves a lot of question mark. Didn't they do a checkup, an examination on him to determine whether this person can be left to go home or be admitted?
I also wonder, but maybe again it's because that was when it was just beginning in 2009, so maybe it wasn't as intense as it was, because this is 13 years. So maybe they just said, oh, give him medicine, let him go home. So they didn't really do that assessment, the psychiatric assessment, they didn't really do that. So they were like, no, you don't have any files here showing that was admitted. It was like, no, but I came to the clinic. Yeah, and then they were like, yes. So it means you came to the clinic, not here. So that's when they officially opened the file. So I'm just wondering what could have happened if we just left and say they opened the file.
Wow. And you know, this is a very successful story that I must say. It is quite, you know, doing the story from the scratch and just ensuring that this person gets the help that he deserves. 13 years is quite a long time for
and because of
someone
that
to be
ignorance,
such...
but the family didn't really know where to go. He's been bound for 13 years in the house because he was never admitted. They thought, oh, we went to China, but they didn't help us. He didn't really know. They didn't really
and you know, sometimes they'll say, no, nivakubantu or stuff like that, without having a clear understanding of what exactly can be the condition. But anyway, let's get direct into playing that story, and we'll continue having our discussion when we come back.
It has been a long journey of 13 years for 35-year-old Namwani Siwoto of Kanyama compound in Lusaka, as he has been housebound for the said number of years due to a mental illness. Living below the poverty line and dependent on her charcoal and porridge powder business, his mother, 65-year-old Namangola Siwoto, a widow with 9 children, says life has not been easy for her as a widow and the mother of a person with a mental disability, stating that he even depends on her for basic activities such as bathing. While the family visited Chainama Hills Hospital in 2009 stating that they did not get the help they required, it has been discovered by this reporter that he was never admitted as they went to the wrong department due to a lack of knowledge, leaving him without help from 2009 to date. Camnet News has been carrying the story of the said man who developed a mental illness after a headache in 2009 before writing his grade 9 examinations and has been getting progressively worse over the years to the point of losing his speech as well as eyesight in one eye after he was beaten up by non-people while he was wandering about. After learning about the situation and how vulnerable the family is, the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities ZAPID came on board to register him as a person with a mental disability and issued him a disability card. The agency further assisted in transporting the patient from his home to Chanama Hills Hospital, where he has finally been admitted on 14th November 2022.
It's a bit different with the common ones that are there. So we're going to query for selective mutism, which is a condition where it's an anxiety condition, an anxiety disorder, where somebody has a problem to talk to people they don't know, to talk to strangers, but in their comfort zone, when they're talking to their family, they'll be able to talk here and there. It's extreme, so that's why we're going to admit him so that we can investigate his condition further.
The disability card comes with many opportunities, such as being placed on the social cash transfer program to be receiving an amount of 800 kwacha per month. We will continue to monitor his situation, but for now, all is well after 13 years of being housebound. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. It's a very successful story right there, Miriam. We started the story from the very start. If you remember, the family didn't even have hope. But now he's admitted and they were even advised saying you should be visiting him. Visiting hours are every day from 9 to 16, meaning you don't have to wait like 6 months. No, they can be visiting him anytime.
Yeah, and you know, just the fact that they will be visiting him, it will give him, you know, some kind of hope, you know, to get better and ensure that he returns back home and reunite with his family.
And we're given a disability card, Miriam, which you, if he takes to the social welfare office, will be put on social cash transfer. And that disability card also exempted him from paying at the hospital.
Interesting, Zipporah. These are the stories that we want to listen, you know, that are bringing change to the community and a very in a very impactful way. Very, very, very good, I must say. Very, very good. Yes. And I hope that you continue monitoring his situation so that we see 6 months down the line how his condition going to be. Is he going to improve, you know? does it mean that his condition will worsen or stuff like that? So we hope to see as you continue monitoring him.
Yes, because the doctors there said he needs a change of environment. He's been in the house for 13 years. So he needs a change of environment to trigger his mind, like to just, but he needs that change, that drastic change.
Yeah.
Maybe like to make him snap back to life, as well as the treatment.
Yeah, because imagine being inside the house. For 13 years, you don't go out, you don't socialize with people, you just sit inside the house. Things change. 13 years is quite a long time. Imagine if it was a degree at UNZA for doctorate, you would have finished Kari. Talk about journalism, you're already done with your master's, you're even working. 13 years is quite a long time. But anyway, we pray that he improves and get better. And I'm glad that the family, did see to it that indeed he gets the necessary helps that he deserves, so that they ensure that he gets better at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And talking about disabilities, Miriam, we're just jumping into our next segment. We're going to be talking about challenges that persons with disabilities are facing here in Zambia. I'm sure you even remember the other time where we saw an interesting story done by Mercy Chanika when she was here, where they were even complaining, saying men don't consider us as human beings. Men don't want to marry a person with disabilities. So really what has caused this segregation? First of all, it's a matter of mindset. Growing up, I think we need to be taught in the education curriculum that persons with disabilities are equal to persons without disabilities. I think it's the same issue when you talk about things like race. Because they feel the way people treat them the same way we would feel if someone from another race treats us different.
Yeah, exactly.
But now we make everything for people who do not have disabilities. For example, the other time I was talking to the executive director for Disability Rights Watch, Mr. Bruce Joma, who said, per law, according to the law, if you are constructing a building, it should have like 2 doors. Like, for example, 2 entrance doors, one a normal door, and the other one with the color changes for those people with maybe visual challenges and all that, so that the colors can show to people to demarcate, no, this is the door. Like, it has to have certain colors, which, because some people have that light which bounces off. The tiles there have to be different. You don't have to make them slippery. Maybe you can make slippery tiles, but what about those people on patches? They need a hard floor. So that those things, if you are building a normal building, this door and that door, 2 doors.
But I will ask you a question. How many times have we seen such?
We have not seen it. So that's why they have been complaining, saying it's in the law, but we have not seen it being implemented. We've not seen the law following those people who do not follow this.
Yeah, it seems like almost everyone is not following the law. We need to be arrested and charged. Exactly. Exactly.
You are saying an interesting story earlier from the judiciary.
Yes, like I was saying, Zipporah, yesterday when I went
It was just yesterday.
It was just yesterday, when he was talking about it anyway. Because they were looking at the courts being friendly to children, There's that provision in the Child Codes Act, which the court environment should be friendly to the children, so that when a young person is testifying in court, the environment should be friendly. Currently, we do not have such facilities. So he was emphasizing on that part. And then when he was emphasizing on that part, he also looked at the part of people with disabilities. And then he said, you know what, currently the judiciary is being sued. In fact, it has been sued already. The judiciary has been sued because this person says the building is not friendly to me. How am I going to
come there?
Okay, quite all right. Yes, there's an entry which is friendly for them to use, but there are courts which are upstairs, and they cannot access them without getting help from anyone. So now that is a burden on their part again. So the acting Chief Justice, Michael Msonda, yesterday said, you know what, even if this person is suing us, he is quite all right. We do not even have any defense, because what are we going to say in our defense? He's quite all right. We do not have facilities.
The evidence is right in front of the door.
We do not have facilities that are friendly to him, so that are user friendly to him. So these were quite interesting views that he brought out, and they also, you know, made us trigger and say, you know what, in as much as we are building these facilities, just like you said, we need to consider these people, because there's a law that provides for that. But why are we not following that? Talk about shops. A lot of shops, when you go in town, we have such things? No, we don't. Okay.
We've got all these Southgate mall, this mall, that mall. But
talk about supermarkets and stuff like that. We don't have.
For example, an escalator. How is a person with a disability? You know how fast they move?
Yeah.
How are they supposed to go upstairs? And the other option for them is the stairs. It's not an escalator or upstairs. There's no ramp to help them go upstairs. So really,
yeah, it's quite sad.
So anyway, we're just going to be joined shortly by Mr. Thomas Mutonga, who's a lecturer at the University of Zambia, to just help us discuss today's topic. But just now, we're going to play a story on persons with disabilities. Previously, before the census exercise, they laid out a number of challenges they faced, which they hoped to be captured during the census, and so they hope that those challenges could actually be highlighted to the current government to make sure that they are addressed. Let's just take a look at that story. The fight for equality in the country seems to be far from over, as persons with disabilities are still lagging behind in financial access when compared to the general population. These face challenges in accessing finance for basic commodities, as they hardly have access to employment opportunities for other forms of economic activities. This has led to many persons with disabilities living in dire poverty and not even affording necessities such as wheelchairs and crutches, which help them with mobility. Persons with disabilities who are led by the Progress Disabilities Organization of Zambia, PDOZ, aired these grievances in an interview with Camnet News.
Kunkani ama wheelchair chankala manje kuti pakuti upeze wheelchair aniresi ni uja muntu amene asebenza ma wheelchair ya dula poigula ku muntu ovutika ikwanisira 5,000 3,000 manje na mavuto amene tupitamo kuno kwatu ku organization vambiri kuno komboni sibasebenza
Nidanda kwa kuti mwana tili mugulu muli ma challenges yambiri bantu ane bantu bamene tisunga muja muli mole mala muli bachikolochi muli bantu bakuti bankana manyumba balibe vochitika bonse tibasunga mu organization so tipempa kuti maboma ititandizire nangu techitapiri kuma we wishes wane bangatingenerepo kuti batitandizire.
Meanwhile, Zambia Union for All Persons with Disabilities President Mr. Pasco Mulenga has emphasized the need for all people from this group to be captured during the upcoming National Housing and Population Census, which is slated to begin in August 2022, to allow for adequate national planning for these people.
We are appealing for the government and these people under the Central Statistic Office to counter-check or to census all those who are in the street who are disabled, those who are called mad people or intellectual problem, those with mental retardation problem. The census should take time to counter them, to pick them, so that we should know how many people are disabled. Because as the census of 2010, we are trying to look at the records. We have noticed that what they did, it was different from the current situation which we have for disabled. And we have discovered some parents, they don't take time to bring out their children outside. They like picking their children inside the house, in the houses. They get scared of showing their children to their friends or their relatives. In this case, we are calling upon all these people be counting in order for them to look after those people and count them.
He explains that this would be the first step in bridging inequalities that these people face. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
The Persons with Disabilities Act number 6 of 2012 under Cap 65 of the laws of Zambia mandates the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities ZAPID to ensure that all people who fall under this group are economically empowered and socially integrated into society. Wrangles have, however, been going on over leadership of this agency after the dismissal of former Acting Director General Nicholas Goma, as a group of persons with disabilities have been camped at the agency for over 1 month now, calling for his reinstatement. The Progress Disability Organization of Zambia, PDOZ, a non-governmental organization, says these wrangles have, however, negatively affected the operations of ZAPID, leading to the slow disbursement of the social cash transfer, as people cannot register for the program due to offices not operating normally. In an interview, PDOZ chairperson Bellington Seth says the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services should ensure that sanity is restored at the agency.
Kudandaula kwanga nipa wanzatu bamene baitanidwa kuti pressure group abo bamene bankalira ku Kabronga Zapiti headquarter. Sinawame munjira yamene bachosamo baje abantu bamene basebeza ijanchito kutandizira banzatu bolemara. Even themselves bama batandizira pamozi. But chapezeka kuti baje banzatu bafuna muntu wamene banamuimika nchito by the name of Goma. Muntu umozi se angawoleshe saba zonse iyayi. Twamipa patani wa pressure group, we are your fellow disabled. Ngachakuti ndisabogulizana verani vamene tudandaula kuno. Because munjira amene mwankalira uko mwalengesa manje the all Zambia bolemala kuvutikiramo.
Ngana mwana kati na chishupa sana kabia ni kukoti mwachita samoni murwisho mlandu uyo nga akawina nga akalusa bati tule milombako mufume mama officers babwele batubombera ngefale tubombera dyonse
tankala mwatimangira vambiri maningi kuno yakuti tandizo tiso akoipeza ife sopano so ife tiembekezera imwe kuti imwe mukachoka huko mchito ziyamba kusebenza huko pakati apa tenda maliro osiyana so walepera oti tandiza ndiposo apa kuliwena wache wale suppose kuti pase empowerment so mlandu muri uko pakuti maoffices yamangiwa so kulibe tandiza minute iliko ili onse
because they cannot focus to start paying us cash transfer. They've stopped because they are hearing yourself, you are camping with your group there to ZAPID. You should stop it because what it is that whenever we have a funeral, we come for the grant to claim there. We are failing. How do they work? How do they work these Chinunas and these Ntwaraj?
They add that interventions should be done urgently so that the agency can serve its purpose to the benefit of all persons with disabilities across the country. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. Quite interesting there. I hope you heard the various views that the stakeholders there just said from the disability sector. Just now we have been joined by Mr. Thomas Mutonga from the Africa Disability Alliance, as well as Ms. Euphrasia Mbewe from the same organization, that was disability rights activists, and they're just here to discuss the topic that is on our screens, and that is Zambia on the right track to achieving equal rights for persons with disabilities? So you can call us on the numbers that are scrolling on your screen, or leave us a message on Facebook as you participate in today's topic. Good morning and welcome to the service. I'm Tonga and Madam Mbewe.
Thank you so much, Zipporah and other producers. Mm-hmm. Yes. Good morning, viewers, and good morning, my colleague.
We are glad to have you on the show. Yes.
Yeah, and maybe just to begin, I think it is a well-known fact that previously persons with disabilities were complaining about not being well represented because there were some challenges at the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities. But for now, as stakeholders in the disability sector, do you feel peace has now been restored, or what is your comment on the confusion that was earlier there?
Okay, let me start. Then my colleague Euphrasia maybe. Yeah, I think the confusion that was at Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities, where due to the fact that, of course, there was no proper leadership in the sense that the substantive Director General, was not there, and the one people thought was loved was taken away. So just in the course of all those things, you saw people with disabilities camping there and demanding and providing all those demands and the like. So, of course, that is a very big organization, and to have such confusions, it's really a serious matter, because I realize that even workers, all the workers at Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities were not reporting for fear of being victimized. Now, that is a national organization, and when you have such confusions at headquarters, you can imagine how much really the machinery goes down at the national level. So we are happy that people have gone back for work now, and that I think the Zambia Agency is on course to try and restore the peace that had been there. I think they are also trying to look around for the Director General, which is, I think, which will bring the total tranquility on our organization. I think that's what we can say. We are not yet there, but I think we are in the right path.
Yep, quite interesting. And maybe just a few words from Madam Frezambeo as well.
Yes, I think in every organization, confusion is normal. And persons with disabilities wanted to fight for their rights. So when they went there, they didn't want to cause any confusion, and that's not what we want. We want peaceful discussions, peaceful dialogues.
Okay.
And they did air their concerns. And then also with the situation on COVID, it's not right that we have a lot of numbers, because like that, a lot of people can be infected, you can catch coronavirus like that. That's why us persons with disabilities depend on people, we depend on touching. So for example, maybe the blind need someone to guide them, and through the guidance and the touching of the hand, you can catch an infection. So that's my point.
Okay. Talking about touching, currently in Zambia, does she think we have facilities that are user-friendly to persons with disabilities? Talking about the courts, is the environment friendly to such people for them to easily access such facilities?
Okay, I think here in Zambia, persons with disabilities can contact coronavirus from anywhere. So from touching the doors, they can contract the coronavirus. But also, where the persons with disabilities, where they stay in different places. Some, they are hidden, and their relatives don't want to be out in public. So you find that they can't access the COVID vaccine.
Okay, I will just re-echo my question once again. In terms of when we talk about user-friendly facilities, like buildings which are made easy for them to have access, friendly access, where they can easily walk You know, talking about, let's say, for example, if we talk about the courts, you'll find that there are stairs and someone cannot walk. You know, there are certain kind of these barriers or challenges. Currently, do we have such facilities which are user-friendly to them?
So there are many buildings that are not accessible in Zambia. For example, the time for elections, the buildings were not accessible. So the classrooms where they were voting from, they didn't have ramps. Also, the polling stations were far. So it wasn't very accessible and possible for persons with disabilities to go and vote. So they depend on other persons to take them there. And also for load shedding, yes, that was also a challenge for to enter hospitals. They have 2 or 3 levels and we don't have elevators, so it's not easy. It's the same with the University of Zambia. They're just stairs. So persons with disabilities who want to learn the law, maybe they can't access those facilities. So when we're talking about accessibilities, we're not just talking about buildings. We're talking about, for example, I am deaf. I will need an interpreter. How will we communicate? So I wouldn't have been here if there wasn't an interpreter. So even the universities, they need to have interpreters. Hospitals need to have interpreters. For example, the Ministry of Health now has been looking at it, but currently we don't have the interpreters at the Ministry of Health right now as we speak. So we need interpreters to be employed. Same as nurses, they don't know sign language. There are only a few who know. That's why we need to collaborate through the Ministry of Health and Zambia National Deaf Association to teach sign language, to include sign language curriculum in their training as they train to be nurses and doctors. What is important is that accessibility must be there. It must be everywhere. An interpreter should be there when meeting a doctor at the clinic. In court, there are interpreters there. Deaf persons can be able to access information. But other ministries, we don't have sign language interpreters.
Quite interesting. Your thoughts on that, Mr. Mtonga?
Thank you so much, Miriam. Maybe just before I answer that one, do we have a link for this program so that?
Yes, we have.
Yes, we have
a comment already on our Facebook live stream, which says, "Good move, Mr. Mtonga and team. We need to hear government's plan for persons with disabilities in the national budget."
Beautiful.
So maybe even as a response to my colleague's question, maybe you can just talk about the budget as well. Do you feel that persons with disabilities were included, maybe in terms of government's plan for them?
That's very interesting. Okay, so just like my friend Madam Euphrasia Mbewe has stated, the issue of accessibility deals with the disability-friendly, probably nature. When you talk about someone who is physically disabled, he needs accessibility to buildings. When you talk about somebody who is deaf, he needs sign language for him to be able to access information. Someone who is blind, he may need accessibility. You know, the issue of stairs may not be a problem for me as a blind individual, but I may need accessibility in terms of, you know, mobility, a sighted guide, you know, something like that. And when you look at the CRPD, the Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities, Article 19 and Article 20, they provide that, you know, a personal assistant should be able to assist a person with a disability for them to live independently. Now, meaning that, the government needs to come up with a deliberate policy, to provide personal assistance to people like Euphrasia Mbewe, people like myself, so that I live an independent life. A situation where I have to rely on the relatives, on the friends, does not really subscribe to independent living. She needs, for instance, to have someone whom she can call at any time, to do sign language for her. Of course, we know that in developed countries, this is the situation where you find that when there is a person with a disability, they cancel, because our colleagues support so much the council ideas. The council will have a pool of personal assistants. So if I want a personal assistant at 12 o'clock, I just communicate with them, I need a personal assistant at 12 o'clock. So that I not trouble my relatives or my friends to come even when they are supposed to be doing other productive activities. I think you are seeing what I'm putting across. Yeah. So, for instance, Lusaka City Council can have, or maybe Zambia Agency here in Lusaka, can have a pool of personal assistants. If Mtonga somewhere wants a personal assistant at 10 o'clock, they dispatch one, so that that person goes to assist that individual. By so doing, we are removing the burden of Mtonga being a burden to the family. We are also removing the issue of dependence, but creating independent living. Now, looking at really the issue of the budget, it's always an issue. Yeah, of course, I've not really studied so much on how people with disabilities have been covered. But one thing I know, I listened to some of the highlights where the Minister of Finance provided for, there is what is called income tax exemption for persons with disabilities. I think this year it's at 500 kwacha, where they are not supposed to pay that money. Now, this, of course, deals with those that are working. So, for persons with disabilities who are not working, most of them have been catered for in terms of maybe social cash transfer. I think you might have heard that it has been increased to 800 kwacha, which is a very good plan.
For persons with disabilities only, isn't it?
Yes.
800 kwacha.
800 kwacha. So, which is a very good plus, because this shows that someone understands that people with disabilities have multiple challenges, and for them to really survive, they honestly need some little bit of income. But what I'm not very sure about is the support given to Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities, because that's the umbrella body. And all along, what I know is that Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities has been poorly funded. You find that the money is reflecting in the budget. Maybe they would be reflecting 500 million. But what is released to the Zambia Agency is maybe 100 million. So you find that in the budget, it's quite clear how much will be given, and you are able to say, okay, this is good money, it will help the organization run. But what is eventually released is very little, maybe only 20%. So,
but what causes that? What is causing that?
Yeah, maybe this is where we want to ask the New Dawn government to live up to their words, because you find that what causes that usually are the misplaced priorities. You find that maybe in the course of time, the government decides to deviate that money to something else. And that's why you find that at Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities, programs are very difficult to, fulfill because of that funding gap, the budget allocation and the funding gap. So the deviation of the resources to other things that may be considered more urgent and more important, that's what has been costing Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities. Yeah.
Quite interesting. Then, in case you're just joining us, we're discussing whether Zambia is on the right track of upholding equal rights for persons with disabilities. And we have another message, Mr. Mtonga, which says there is need for more sensitization to remove discrimination, especially in employment. So maybe I'm sure he's talking about challenges that persons with disabilities face. One of them is access to employment. Correct. So maybe just because I heard Madam Fraser talking about the coronavirus. So maybe compare, what challenges has the coronavirus brought apart from maybe reducing the opportunities in employment? What other challenges has the coronavirus brought?
Thank you so much. This year, under the Breaking Down Barriers for Persons with Disabilities, we carried out a research on the employment of persons with disabilities in supermarkets. And of course, two things that we found. One, access to difficulty in terms of access to information by persons with disabilities. Then secondly, internal challenges in terms of support from the working places. Now, the truth is that persons with disabilities are extremely very few in terms of employment levels. In fact, let me just give you some statistical data. By 2015, only about 5% of persons with disabilities were employed in formal employment. And about 15% were employed in informal employment. More than 80% were self-employed in peasant agricultural farming. So when you look at such statistics, they are honestly threatening, because peasant agricultural farming, more than 80%. And the Southern Africa Federation of Persons with Disabilities did carry out a research, a survey in 2013, where they found that 93% of persons with disabilities in Zambia were living in abject poverty. Now, when you put together all this information, you are able to see the agreement that if only 5% of persons with disabilities are employed formally, that means that more than 90% are languishing out there. If you look at the report that shows that more than 93% are living in abject poverty, that agrees with this information. Now, we already have very few people that are in employment and the informal employment. When the coronavirus hit us, okay, that meant that every employer, the first person you need to fire is a person with a disability. So most of the people with disabilities lost their jobs, and especially for those that were self-employed. If they were doing some businesses, whatever, they lost out because of the coronavirus. I mean, there were no people, due to the lockdowns, and even if there was no lockdown, but people just got afraid to be interacting with other people. So that honestly meant that a lot of people with disabilities lost unemployment. And that's why we are saying, Zipporah, that a society is judged by the way it takes care of people who are vulnerable within that society. Zambia needs to move on a path that needs to think about persons with disabilities. And that's why we have been saying, when, for instance, teaching service is employing, when Zambia prisons and the commissions is employing, when any government wing is employing, they should also think about how can we bring on board persons with disabilities, because they can find something to do instead of them living in this abject poverty. Apparently, that abject poverty of more than 1 million people will pull down Zambia. They will pull down Zambia because instead of making economic gains, those 1 million people who are left behind, they will pull down the gross domestic product of the nation, because those are left behind, and they will be giving that wrong information that Zambia is not supporting this. So what we really need is, political will. Political will like what we had in the Kaunda regime, where persons with disabilities were given some reservations in terms of employment levels. And that's why at that time, we never used to have street beggars who are people with disabilities. It was difficult because everyone, was thought about. Yeah.
Mr. Mtonga, talking about reservation for people.
Sorry, I would like to add just a few words on the employment. So the people who employ very much are in government. So we have teachers who belong to the persons with disabilities, but we need more from the government to employ persons with disabilities, not only in the teaching sector, no, in other professionalisms. For example, in ICT, in technology, persons with disabilities must be encouraged to join such professionalisms. And other companies, for example, the Disability Act of 2012, which says we must employ at least 10 persons with disabilities, and the tax for that company will be reduced. So now we would like to encourage companies to employ persons with disabilities in their companies, even the private sectors. So for all ministries, all government ministries, they must also employ persons with disabilities and the focal point also must be visible in those ministries. So even in other ministries, we only have a few persons with disabilities, so we must, like for example, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Tourism, they all must employ persons with disabilities. And we must know that persons with disability have skills like accountants and those alike. So why should they be just saying only go to the agency, go to the ZAPID, go to the agency? Is that the only institution that we have in Zambia? No. We have many other institutions. We need inclusive development. You have to show it. Each ministry must include persons with disabilities so that we all move together. No one must be left behind. That's how the beauty of Zambia must be shown, that you are including persons with disabilities. Even in the budget, you are showing that we are being included, but if you go on the ground, we are not being included. Persons with disability are being left behind from the national budget. This is not fair. So from the national budget, all must be covered. Persons with disabilities must enjoy that money because they are given small percentages all these years. We expect the new Dawn government to work properly. Now we have seen that CDF is working amongst each constituency. But now I'm worried that the constituencies themselves are not including persons with disability. For example, in the wards, are they including persons with disabilities? When voting for leaders within the ward, are they including persons with disabilities? So I am also part of the leaders in my ward. But if you go there in some wards, you don't find any persons with disability being included. So they are only filling in a seat, but they are not allowed to work. They are not involved. Why? Why is this so? That it's not fair. It is not beautiful for our country to show like that. That's why in all wards and all members of parliaments must make sure that in all their constituencies, all their wards, we want to see change, that persons with disabilities are included and they are benefiting from the CDA funds.
Interesting. This brings me back to my next question, Zipporah. She spoke of not leaving anyone behind, and we're talking about the 2030 goal that we need to achieve. Do you think we should attach a certain percentage on saying only this percentage of persons with disability will be employed? Don't you think that that is discriminatory if we're going to say we don't want to leave anyone behind? Is it in order to add a certain percentage?
Now, Miriam, so the issue is the Disability Act, Section 39, provides that certain reservations should be made when it comes to employment. Now, of course, it does not state what percentage should be reserved. Of course, down the line, people have been talking about 10%. Now, the issue is this. You will see that persons with disabilities, no matter maybe how educated they are, maybe no matter how much they are able to, the employing companies, private and government, may not really be able to think about people with disabilities. Imagine yourself and myself and Euphrasia and Zipporah, we go to look for employment. And all of us have put in our applications. Obviously, the employer may honestly think about Zipporah and Kaimba to be able to, work because they have no disability. When they think about Euphrasia and Mtonga, they will be asking questions: how are they going to perform? How are they going to work? No, these people are going to give us problems. And so I will be left out, not because I've underperformed. I will be left out because of the prejudgmental idea that persons with disabilities cannot work. They cannot perform. So, because of that, that's why we need a policy that if Zambia Development Agency is employing, maybe they keep a certain percentage, or even 1%, just to allow persons with disabilities find something to do. You remember the statistics that I gave you, that only about 5% of the more than 2 million people with disabilities are employed formally. So our colleagues in the other countries, in fact, last week, the USAID was launching Employ Persons with Disabilities report in the US, and I was invited to be part of that. Now, they were saying more than 100, in fact 101 countries in the world have adopted the quota system to help people with disabilities find employment. So, meaning that more than these 100 countries have realized that for us to give, room for persons with disabilities to be able to earn a living, let's give them a quota system. So we reserve a certain percentage. If we are employing nurses, are there people with disabilities? If we are employing health workers, are there people with disabilities that have done something like this and they can be employed? Because like in the recent employment, they were looking for security officers, they were looking for drivers, whatever. So can we give a certain percentage to people with disabilities so that, as a way of empowering them, knowing that if they were to really go and get interviewed, the chances are that they will be left out on the basis of their disability and not on the basis of their qualification or their performance. Exactly.
Quite interesting. And earlier, Madam Fraser, when you're talking about the coronavirus, I'm just left to wonder, do we have, the way we have statistics for people who have who have received the COVID vaccine, have we seen the same for persons with disabilities? Are we able to know the number? And has it been easy for these people to actually get the vaccines? Has there been enough sensitization?
So that's a good question. I think the time when the coronavirus pandemic had started in 2019, persons with disabilities did not have adequate information at that time. Though government did try to spread the information, but many persons with disabilities do not, because they live under the poverty line, they don't have TVs or radios. So they didn't have much access to information, and that was a very big challenge. For example, African Disability Alliance has appointed 3 ambassadors, for example, Mr. Mtonga, myself, who have been encouraging persons with disabilities to get their vaccine. So, for example, right now we have only 7 million persons who have received the vaccine in Zambia currently. But from these 7 million people, we don't have any statistics of how many persons with disabilities have received the vaccine. That's why we would want to ask the Ministry of Health to provide this information. And up to now, we haven't received this information as to how many persons with disabilities have received the vaccine. That's why we're trying to encourage more to receive, persons with disabilities to receive the vaccine. We have some persons with disabilities who have gotten coronavirus because of touching. For example, myself, I am deaf and I need to, touch other like interpreters. So you find that the vaccine is there, but we don't know how many have received that, how many persons with disability. And also we have a lot of negative attitude because they have this notion to say, no, I will die after 2 years when I receive the COVID vaccine, which is not true. So, for example, there's one who said that they will not be able to bear children, and my private parts will not be working. So all of these are just negative attitudes and myths. But I am, as you can see, I've gotten my vaccine, and Mr. Mtonga here also has gotten his vaccine. We haven't even died. So that's our work now, to influence persons with disabilities. It's not easy, but we are really doing our best to break the barriers.
Do you think enough sensitization have been made to persons with disabilities when it comes to getting their COVID-19 vaccines?
Well, I think yes, we have a lot of sensitization. Slowly, it's getting to persons with disabilities through social media platforms like Facebook. We have that information to show that, okay, yes, there are other persons with disabilities who have gotten the vaccines.
Interesting. In case you are joining us, we are talking about is Zambia on the right track on upholding the rights of persons with disabilities. And those watching us live on Facebook, please do bring those messages coming in. Actually, we have one message from Mr. Edwin Zulu who says, as politicians, we should consider adopting persons with disabilities to stand in our political parties and be councillors, mayors, chairperson, and members of parliament. Your thought on that?
And maybe in line with the same, Mtonga, you participated in the 2021 general elections as MP. You are trying to stand as MP. Is it for Chasefu?
Yes, yes.
And Madam Euphrasia, also as a woman with disabilities, tried to participate. But what challenges did she face?
Did you face?
So we can just begin with you then, Madam Euphrasia.
Okay. That's very good. Maybe just a comment on the statistics for persons with disabilities who have gotten vaccinated. I really want to think that government needs to take this one as a very serious matter, because you know, statistics tell us a lot of information. If we are more than 1 million persons with disabilities in the country, and maybe only 200,000 have been vaccinated, then we know that we really have to do something more. If maybe we are more than 1 million, we are about 1 million, and maybe 900,000 have been vaccinated, we can honestly see how we can scale up so that the few that have not been vaccinated get vaccinated. I remember early this year when we started as ambassadors for Africa Disability Alliance, we went and met officials at the Ministry of Health headquarters with Madam Bewe, and we were promised that something was going to be done, but I'm not very sure if that has been done. Now, yes, the comment from one of the viewers is that we need people with disabilities to participate, you know, in a political sphere, at the councillor, mayor, and the political levels. That is very true, because, you know, some slogan, there was a slogan where when we celebrated the 2006 International Day for Persons with Disabilities, which stated nothing for us without us. Okay? Now, if people with disabilities are not there in decision making, then who is making decisions for them? If, for instance, at cabinet level, at parliamentary level, there are no people with disabilities who are able to speak for themselves, then who is making decisions for them? We have always been crying that, oh, women need to participate, you know, in decision making, because they understand what they pass through. You can learn about, you know, how Mutonga performs as a person who is blind, how Euphrasia performs as she is deaf. You can learn, but you cannot perfect the art unless they themselves speak for themselves. And I think this is what makes a real difference. When we look at the participation of persons with disabilities in the political sphere, we are also trying to, you know, improve on the democratization of the space for persons with disabilities, so that they should be able to speak for themselves what they pass through and what they feel. Now, in terms of really what experiences did I have? Yes, you know, when you join some of those areas, you need to also prepare your minds to face a lot of things. For me, because I've been a pioneer of a lot of things. For instance, I was one of the first grade 8 blind pupils to go to Catete Secondary School. I was one of the first blind individuals to go to Nkrumah, and one of the first blind individuals to do masters at UNZA. So I have been there in terms of experiencing the negative situations. Just to share with you, I was the first blind person to teach at Chizongwe Technical High School. Now, you see, I just want to share one experience. When I arrived at Chizongwe, I was told by even other teachers, they didn't want to give me class because they were saying, how does a blind person teach? Okay, so for the whole first term, I never went to teach. I just used to join them in the staff room and all those things. Now, one teacher who was actually head of department at that time would mock government and, you know, just teasing government. He would get a cup of tea and get his bread or whatever. Then he starts walking around in the staff room and say, "Atichibo my chair. How do you bring a blind person, you know, to teach at such a school?" Because Chizongwe Technical High School is the cream of the province. And he would be saying that, not even thinking about, you know, Mutonga is here, you know, he will be listening to what I'm saying. No, he will be saying that even when I'm around. And I said, this is very frustrating. How does someone really say that in your presence? Meanwhile, you have not been given a class. You are thinking, okay, what do they think about me? Then I said, okay, the best I can do is to join them. So when he's going around talking like that, people are clapping, I also joined in the clapping, and, you know. But the issue that I'm trying to say is that, you know, I've been a pioneer of a lot of things. And so when going into the political field, I also understood the challenges that I was going to face. So like one of the major challenges is that, you know, your opponents would be using your disability to tell the electorates that how can you vote for someone who can't see? How is he going to work at Parliament? How is he going to see that you have such a problem? How is he going to notice that your school maybe needs this support? So, and you know, people would come to tell me. In fact, there were even some videos. But, you know, that did not put me off. Apparently, you may be aware that, of course, I started late. But when you look at my difference and the one who won, I think it was just about 1,000. Meaning that people, of course, understood. The second thing that you really realize also is, apart from maybe what the opponents could be using, the people, the voters themselves, you see, they still have a lot of doubts. You know, these are the people with disabilities. These are the ones they think are useless. They are a bad omen. You know, they are cursed. You know, and now here is Mtonga, whom you think is useless. He is coming to you and say, "Give me a vote." How do you sacrifice your vote for someone who you think is useless? So you find that the issue of myths and beliefs also play a very serious role in working against persons with disabilities. So for people with disabilities in Zambia to be able to reach that level, we really need that great support. The last time we had somebody going through elections, who is maybe blind, was Mr. Koloweka in 1986. Now, at that time, it was a one-party, participatory state. And whoever the president put his weight to, that's the one who is going to win. So apparently, the late Dr. Kaunda, may he so rest in peace, had a lot of, goodwill towards persons with disabilities. And that's why he put his weight towards people with disabilities. Of course, I want to really state that for the Patriotic Front to have given me such an opportunity, they must have seen something in me, and maybe they must have put aside their myths and beliefs to say, let's adopt this person so that he goes to contest on our behalf. But, the people on the ground really needed proper sensitization. But also the issues of, finances. Yeah, because for a person with a disability, in fact, the majority, we have just been stating how impoverished persons with disabilities are. For them to be able to really run the race, they need double, what Zipporah or Miriam will need to campaign, because look at what we are fighting. We are fighting against opponents who think that persons with disabilities cannot manage. You are also fighting against myths and beliefs which actually discourage the members who are going to vote. And then you also need a lot of support from the well-wishers. So you find that you really need a lot of finances for you to be able to run the show. And of course, I know that I did receive some goodwill in terms of support, but really going forward, we honestly need, the political parties to realize that persons with disabilities need to speak for themselves, and if they support that, then they need to put their weight, behind persons with disabilities.
Quite interesting. And Madam Fraser, maybe under 2 minutes, as we're running out of time, what challenges did you go through as a woman trying to participate in politics?
The biggest challenge was, for example, the way Mr. Mtonga said, it was about accessibility. How can I access in the environment where all people are hearing and I am the only deaf person? In that environment, for me to be able to participate, I will need a sign language interpreter. But the negative attitudes will still be there, where people will be saying, why are you bringing an interpreter here? Which is very demoralizing at times, because it is my right to bring my own interpreter. An interpreter of my choice, whether it is my children, my husband, my sister, it is my choice to make sure that I choose who I want. So you would find that if I don't have an interpreter, I cannot participate. I cannot be included in any political affiliations. So that's one of the biggest challenges. And then the second one is funding. Without funding, financial support in any political party, it becomes a challenge. So persons with disabilities, when they are participating in any political party, that political party must provide financial support. In every political group as well, it's not easy for persons with disability to participate because of the negative attitude. No, these persons with disabilities, they're bringing a lot of problems, they need assistance, personal assistance, which makes us lose morale. Persons with disabilities are able to work, they're able to stand in any political party. If they see that woman, she wants to stand as a member of Parliament is just a dry flower. Your blessings are not here. They are somewhere else. They are not here. Please just leave the political party. That's what people say. Yeah. But that does not stop me from participating, because that's my dream, to be able to participate in political affiliations. So in 2012, the Disability Act in 2012 says that persons with disability, they can participate where they, in any political party of their choice. The laws are there. They are free to belong to any political party that they want, and no one must discriminate. So what is important is we make sure that the laws are followed, that persons with disabilities must not be discriminated.
Quite interesting. There may be just your concluding remarks, Mr. Mtonga and Madam Fraser, in under a minute. It's almost 9, unfortunately. Time flies fast when we are having a good conversation.
I can assure you. Well, I think with what Madam Fraser has indicated, I was laughing when she was saying you are a dry flower, you know. Yeah, you know, that underscores the issue of myths and beliefs about persons with disabilities. And honestly, I think Paul and Miriam, you agree that then there is need for that reservation of maybe a quota system in terms of maybe getting into Parliament for persons with disabilities. But further than that, we are really saying that vaccination for COVID should be able to reach persons with disabilities everywhere, because they are the most vulnerable in society, and they can be infected because they have to interact with a lot of people for them to perform their duties. So there is need for that vaccination. And please, if anyone who is listening to us has a disability and you have not been vaccinated because of these myths, please, you can call us. I will give you my number, and then we can discuss. So my number is 09.
We'll give it to the viewers.
Okay.
Yes, after the show, for your own security, because you never know who may be calling you if you just say it on TV.
Correct.
For your own security, we're going to assist you with that. Yes.
Correct.
Yes, and Madam Fraser, go your concluding remarks, maybe in like 30 seconds.
So my concluding remarks, we need a society that is free from discrimination. Be it in communities, in wards, in constituencies, in churches, everywhere. We must be free from discrimination. And also, programs must be there that make sure that they are inclusive and that leave no one behind. And for COVID vaccine, I would like to encourage that if you are at home, because right now COVID vaccine is coming door to door, so if you hear people knocking, come out and get that vaccine to protect yourself from coronavirus and protect your family as well, and the nation at large. So those are my conclusions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, both Mr. Mtonga and Madam Fraser, for joining us on the show. We were discussing, is Zambia on the right track of ensuring equal rights for persons with disabilities? Unfortunately, we couldn't read all the messages that you left us on Facebook, but rest assured that they have been acknowledged. Miriam?
Yes, Zipporah, this is where we come to the end of our program this morning, but please do make a date with us tomorrow, the same time. For me, Miriam Kaimba, and my colleague, Zipporah Mshara, it's bye-bye and stay blessed.